ustedes 12 años. Sí. Son 12 más 24. ¿Y cómo cambia la dinámica? ¿Cómo tienen que resolver? Más nadie. Escribe cualquier cosa, bueno.
Millions of Cubans lose power after national grid fails from Reuters. Government closes schools, non-essential industry, and sends workers home. Fuel shortages and deteriorating infrastructure blamed for crisis. Drop in fuel imports from Venezuela due to U.S. sanctions also blamed. Havana, October 18th, Reuters. Cuba plunged into a countrywide blackout on Friday after one of the island's major power plants failed and caused the national grid to shut down, its energy minister said. The communist-run government had already closed schools, non-essential industries, and sent most state workers home in the last-ditch effort to keep lights on during severe power shortages. But shortly before midday, Antonio Guterres' power plant, the country's largest and most efficient, went offline, prompting a total grid failure and leaving approximately 10 million people without power. Officials did not say what caused the plant to fail. There will be no rest until power is restored, Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel said on X. The blackout marks a new low point in the island where life has become increasingly unbearable, with residents already suffering from shortages of food, fuel, water, and medicine. The electricity shortages had already prompted officials to cancel non-vital government services on Friday. Schools, including universities, were shuttered through Sunday. Recreational and cultural activities, including nightclubs, were also ordered to close. Officials said in mid-afternoon they began taking steps to restore power, but the process would take time. Virtually all commerce in the capital, Havana, have ground to a halt on Friday. Many residents sat sweating on the doorsteps. Tourists hunkered down in frustration. We went to a restaurant and they had no food because there was no power. Now we are without internet, said Brazilian tourist Carlos Roberto Julio, who had recently arrived in Havana. In 2 days, we have already had several problems. Prime Minister Manuel Morero late on Thursday blamed the worsening blackouts during the past several weeks on a perfect storm, well known as to most Cubans as deteriorating infrastructure, fuel shortages, and rising demand. I guess it's the way you say it. The fuel shortage is the biggest factor, Morera said on a televised message to the nation. Strong winds that began with Hurricane Milton last week has crippled the island's ability to deliver scarce fuel from boats offshore to its power plants, officials said. Cuba's government also blames the U.S. trade embargo, as well as sanctions under former President Donald Trump, for difficulties in acquiring fuel, spare parts to operate its oil-fired plants. The complex scenario is caused primarily by intensification of the economic war and financial and energy persecution of the United States. The United States is not to blame for today's blackout on the island or overall energy situation in Cuba, a spokesman from the White House National Security Council said. The White House, while the demand for electricity has grown alongside Cuba's private sector fuel supply has evaporated, Cuba's largest oil supplier, Venezuela, has reduced shipments to the island to an average of 32,600 barrels per day in the first 9 months of the year, and about half of the 6,000 BPD sent to the same period of 2023, according to vessel monitoring data and internal shipping documents from the Venezuelan state company, PDVSA, whose refining infrastructure is also ailing, has this year tried to avoid a new wave of fuel scarcity at home, leaving smaller volumes available for export to allied countries like Cuba. Russia and Mexico, which in the past have sent fuel to Cuba, have also greatly reduced shipments to the island. The shortfalls have left Cuba to fend for itself on the far costlier spot market at a time when the government is near bankrupt. Wow. Well, that sounds like they're having a good old time there in Cuba. Hey, what's up, Jess? I just wanted to bring this report to you. About 3 hours old. Pretty much 10 million people in Cuba are without power right now. And I'm going to do this in ninja fashion. I'm going to end it right now. Thank you very much, Jess. I appreciate you very much for stopping by. Like I said, this was just a short live stream to bring you that breaking news. It will be Sunday as usual. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.